Jay reviews his AOC E2043F. Man, that's a mouthful. And I review my new Otterbox Commuter case for the Inspire 4G, as well as we break down one of the top news stories of the week, Google acquiring Motorola. Coming up on Gadget Gurus.
Gadget Gurus, episode 62. It's Monday, August 15th, 2011. Motorola is going down.
So, Jeb, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
If you guys watched the live stream, Jeb just had a peach, so now he's all fueled up and ready to go.
I have the pit right here.
Yes.
I'm going to plant it in a random spot and pell him to grow a peach tree. No, I'm not. I'm going to throw it away.
So today is definitely a Man Monday for me because today is my last day of freedom, as Ram Francis called it, and that is very true. I have to go back to the schoolhouse tomorrow. How unfortunate.
Schoolhouse?
How unfortunate is that?
Schoolhouse?
I know. Well, when I woke up this morning, I was not expecting, I actually went on a run this morning, like pretty early, and I was not expecting to hear some pretty major news. I mean, Monday's usually not a big tech news day for some reason, but we'll get to that in a second. Now, Jeff, if you want to go ahead and show us your gadget, I think you've actually got an unboxing.
Yeah, what's that called?
GU, I think it's GUVC maybe? Yeah, right there. So we're going to try the camera across the room like we used last week or was that 2 weeks ago, I guess.
Oh, my.
You may have to go, did the settings open up? Try clicking on the icon there. Oh, yeah, there you go. Over there.
And, whoa.
Get the focus ready.
I don't know what's going on here.
It's just like, yeah, I don't want to focus.
There it is.
Yeah. There we go. Alrighty. So, Jeff is going to unbox this thing for us, but it is the AOC E2043F. I always get a kick out of those, display names because, how many people are going to say that all the time? But you got it over at TigerDirect.com. I bought a couple things there. I mean, this computer that J-Up's working on there was actually a bare bones kit that TigerDirect sold, which is pretty cool. They're pretty good about that. I mean, kind of like Newegg in that fashion. They also have some other things. They do a lot of TVs, and they even do some, cameras and even car, devices and stuff like a GPS or something. But oh yeah, and I've been looking at some of their cell phones. But they had an event. I don't know if you call it an event, but they had a sale. What was it? I guess last week.
It was 100 gadgets for under $100.
Yeah, and I think that they were marketing that towards like people going back to college or whatever. And you picked up a couple things, and I think we may maybe feature your project that you're going to do with that. I mean, I call it a project, but whatever, like your with the computer or whatever.
Yeah.
We may talk about it more.
Whatever, yeah.
So, yeah. Let's see the unboxing.
Do it! Wait, which one's yours?
8.
Number 8!
Woo!
So yeah, let's go over there.
Yepers. How is that working? Does that seem to be working?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Turn on this light.
So we have an unboxing light.
Yeah, we have the microphone sitting here so that we can...
A great use for a very omnidirectional... Well, not omni. Whatever. A roomy microphone.
So, like we said, this was $100. It's a LED backlit screen.
Yeah.
It's going to be really loud, and I'm sorry about that.
Unless if they were really cheap, I don't think I would buy anything that wasn't LED right now. Like, if you're going to make an investment in a monitor, I would
Yeah,
buy
like they had a 22-inch that was $100. No, I had a 20-inch 22 inch that was $69, but it was regular.
Yeah.
And it was like 1,000:1 contrast ratio.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I don't think so. Got some cleaner things. It comes with power cord.
That's nice.
And a VGA. And it has this because it is, of course, very thin.
See now, one of the favorite monitors I bought, this Acer right here. It looks a lot like a laptop. What am I saying? Power supply. So, oh, they already put the base on it. Sweet.
Oh,
That's
cool!
awesome.
The base is actually where all the video connectors are.
Huh.
That's kind of cool.
So I wonder what you would do if you wanted to remove it. Not remove it.
Not.
That's pretty cool.
Oh gosh, get off me!
And for most use cases, like a 20-inch is pretty, or a widescreen 20-inch monitor is a pretty good size. And this would be a nice pickup to maybe like couple with a maybe like a dual monitor setup or something.
Oh yeah, because it's nice and thin and.
Yeah. And I was looking on there. This is 1600 by 900, which isn't like the best aspect ratio, but for $99 you really can't beat it. But I was looking on there. They've got some that are 129, I think, or 120. I can't remember. Same manufacturer, AOC, and it's actually the same body style and everything. It's the white version or whatever. And it's 22 inches wide, and it still has DVI and a VGA, but it's 1080p. So, or whatever it is.
So they got a lot of this protective film stuff on here,
Yeah.
which I like go all OCD about because I'm like, I have to get it all off. Because if you don't, well then, you won't have it all
Yeah.
off.
And now this monitor that sits in front of the camera now that we used to use in the back of the setup, it's an AOC. I've never had any issues with it, and I know you've owned what, I know you have 2 AOC monitors that you use. So, I mean, they're obviously not like Samsung or something, but for $99 you really can't beat it. Let's see what else. And with the VGA and the DVI, you could use an HDMI converter very easily to DVI, or you can convert the VGA. It's really endless how many inputs you can use. And I saw on there, doesn't it have a touch, kind of like a touch sensitive?
Yeah, but the buttons are all touch sensitive.
That's pretty cool.
And let's see, they say you have to press something here and then rotate it. Oh, okay. It has this little locking thing on the bottom that actually will lock it into place. Little switch down here. So, because when you mount it to the wall, you're actually going to be mounting it like that. Okay?
Okay. And it's got one of those Versa mounts, or whatever they call those things before.
Yeah.
Oh, they said they maybe.
So you got mounting holes right here that you can mount.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
But that's pretty it. Pretty much it. Pretty thin.
Yeah.
Let's go back over here.
So, let me see if I can find some other specs. I think we read off most of the important ones. 60 hertz, of course, 16 by 9, widescreen, everything. It obviously tilts, you can adjust it to how you like or whatever.
But yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Now I know that monitor is about a year and a half old that sits in front of the TV, or in front of the, you guys' view. It was actually about 130, and I mean, looking at that monitor and then looking at the one that Jep's holding in his hands, I think that's a 20-inch as well. I mean, it's amazing how monitors drop just in a year or two. So, Obviously, I would. I mean, I wouldn't say. But you're kind of limited because it was $100. So you're like, dude, this is $100. Like, this is a sweet deal. But it'd be nice if it had HDMI, but you don't really expect that from a $100 monitor. But
yeah. Plus, you can convert from DVI straight to HDMI.
Which
so that's
and it works. I understand that works out like perfect. So you really don't have any.
It seems so dark now in here.
I don't know.
But yeah, pretty cool, especially for $100.
Yeah.
Just gonna go ahead and say that.
Now they are selling right now. If you weren't able to cash in on that deal, they have one for $110, which $10, not terribly more expensive, but pretty sweet.
And I ended up getting 2 of these.
Yeah, and you're gonna use these for your vinyl cutting stuff, so you can have kind of a standalone station sort of deal for everything that you do for vinyl cutting, which is awesome.
Yeah. So all you guys got to do is head over to TigerDirect.com.
Yeah,
and
if you search for the E20 43F, you can easily find it. It comes up right there. And I was looking on there, AOC, pretty cool. I think if I was going, like, that was a deal for $99, but for $10 more, like, it's the regular price.
$10 more.
Yeah.
And you still get I think it's like $10 shipping or something like that.
So you pretty much knocked out shipping at least for that $100, which is pretty sweet. Any other specs?
But it's 50 million to 1 contrast ratio. See, that's what's so cool about that LED backlit. And if we we won't really, but it's pretty sweet.
I do like, it's kind of weird how it mounts from the bottom, but I do like the fact that they made those ports very accessible, right on there, because that Acer, it's a little bit thicker than that one. But they still have the ports, they're not under the bezel or whatever. Like, you can just, it's plug and play right there, much like a computer.
And also, if you're sitting this on your desk and you're not mounting it to anything, I mean, it looks really sleek because,
and another thing I noted, that the bottom of it, what would you call it? I don't know, like the pedestal or whatever. To have the VGA and the DVI connections, it's very thin. Like, they really did a nice job. Like, that's about standard size for,
Yeah, the pedestal doesn't really even look like it has anything there. That's what's kind of cool about it.
Like, it
makes
like
it more clean.
size.
It's more for a desktop than anything.
Yeah.
You're not going to want to put these on, like, these kind of, like, control arm things because it's going to look weird, kind of sticking up in the air. I mean, mounting it to a wall, I don't think that would look too bad.
Yeah.
But, I mean, still, it's kind of weird to have that on there. But, I mean, hey, great screen for the price.
Yeah, and this would work out well for like a laptop, secondary monitor. I mean, really anything you would want to do with it for $100 or $110. You can't really turn it down. Did they include? I don't think they included a DVI, which is kind of unfortunate. But DVI cables are really cheap. Sweet. All right, so my gadget for the week, not really a gadget, but it's something that is used to protect your gadget. A lot of people make deals about cases. iPhone cases have always been like really hot. Like Encase makes some, Belkin makes a lot of them. Otterbox, one of the bigger names in that. And Otterbox has always been a company that they tout how rugged the cases are. They tout that they you could pretty much do a lot of things. And I was looking on their YouTube page, and they have people running over iPads that are in Otterbox cases. I think they had one guy like drop his phone like 15 feet or something. And Otterbox is really good about protecting your devices. Now, when I went to lunch with my friend the other day, and he has an Atrix 4G. Great phone, Motorola, dual-core Tegra. I don't know if it's Tegra 2, but it is dual-core. I think it uses Motorola's own chipset. But he had the Defender case, and this is the Commuter. And I would have probably gotten the Defender case because the Defender is silicone on the outside, and that's really like their rough and tough case. But he said that the issue, and it makes total sense to me, with it being silicone on the outside, it's the actual reverse of this. So this has I don't know what material. I think it's like some kind of poly. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, Doesn't really matter. It's a hard plastic kind of material. It's obviously I don't think it'd crack. It might it'll obviously scuff up, but it's going to protect your phone. And then it has a silicone case on the inside, so it's pretty easy. It won't come off, but it's pretty easy to take it off. That's one of the things I don't like right there. It does cover up your ports, which I know.
It's just made to keep dust out. That's all it's doing.
Which is great. And one thing that I've really been impressed with is it gives you easy access to the buttons. If you cover up the buttons, it makes them a lot harder to access or whatever. You just have to press down maybe a little bit harder than normal, and it gets a great response. So that's awesome. The interesting thing that I saw on Otterbox is they have these core lines. So they've got the Defender and the Commuter for iPhone. It's obviously a different shape, but it's the same design and whatever. And they make a ton of cases for Android phones now. I would recommend that if you buy these, do not buy it at the AT&T store. That's what most people do. They get that iPhone 4, they get their new whatever phone that they get, like a Atrix 4G or something, for instance. They're at the AT&T store. They're like, oh crap! What happens if I drop this when I go outside? AT&T's like, well, if you don't buy the whatever, and then they sell you a $50 Otterbox case. Which I've heard a lot of people, especially at school, say, "Hey, $50 is worth it," and it probably is. Considering that 1 or 2 drops, this will probably save your phone, no repercussions whatsoever, unless it drops on the screen. But whatever.
Drops on into a grinder.
I think. It will blend, unfortunately. So I think it's $34.99 retail on $34.95 on their website. I think the Defender is a little bit more. Not quite sure. They're about the same price, like $1 or $2 different. And if you pull up that screenshot right there, since you can obviously see it has great access to your flash. This one actually has a dual LED flash, and it opens up your microphone and your speaker and everything. So that's pretty cool. You'll notice that it does leave room for some of the bezel. So what I've ran into on a lot of iPad cases or iPhone or iPod cases is that if it's a touchscreen, some cases will limit your accessibility to the screen, maybe. So, bless you. When you're like moving your, it's a touchscreen device, obviously. So when you're moving your finger around, like you'll drag over the case or overlap onto the screen. They did a really nice job, and I know it's pretty easy with the Inspire 4G to not do that. But I actually got this. I was pretty happy with the price. What was it? Amazon actually has this. This is from SF Planet, which is on Amazon. But I got the one that was $23.99. You can actually get it for $22. So I got it for $24. But whatever. Which is awesome considering how much I've seen these sell for in the AT&T store or the Apple store, for instance. But it's awesome. Otterbox has always, they've never focused on being a minimalist case. They've always been, hey, if you're going to put this on your phone, it's going to be worth it. It may be big, it may be bulky, but it's going to protect your phone. And the Inspire 4G, along with your Evo or whatever, it's a big phone. Like, there's no joke. I mean, it's a big phone. And the Inspire 4G has always, kind of struck me. It's pretty thin for how long it is. Like, it's 4.3-inch screen, but it's pretty thin. Like, it's maybe a little bit thicker than the iPhone. And this case actually gives me a better grip on the phone than I used to have because it was almost too thin where if you wrapped your hand around it, like, it would slip out of your hands. It was kind of a weird experience, but whatever. And I would definitely recommend this hardcover, the hard plastic case, instead of the silicone. I didn't try out the silicone, but obviously he said it would get stuck in your pocket, and if you set it down, it won't move just because it's silicone. But you can slide this all around. And I used to be kind of afraid of putting my phone on the ground because this actually has a metal backing to it. The whole Inspire 4G, except for the bottom, is one piece of metal. So you could scratch that up. I mean, you could dent it, whatever. So I don't have any issues, setting this down on the table or whatever. And
like to throw it out my car when I'm driving on the street. Yeah, it's real fun.
One more thing, they do include a screen protector, and they include all the application that you need. I did not put it on there. I actually didn't even attempt to because I'm not big on it. You had one when you first got yours, and you said it was it made it weird to move around and stuff. But they have some great tutorials online if you have issues, accessing some of your ports. There's a little bit, you kind of have to work it to get it, get the ports aligned or whatever. But other than that, it's really awesome. And when you put the plastic part of the second part of the case on, it almost feels like it's not going to fit. Like you feel like it almost feels like it's going to fall off. But when it grips around that silicone, I think it has to get around the lip or whatever. But once it does that, it just makes it awesome. And you can see right here, if you take this off, it's just a 2-part case. The silicone isn't very thick. That just protects the phone from, there's the silicone. And it's obviously not meant to be used by itself. It's just for protecting it from the hard plastic. So, and they claim it absorbs shock. I mean, it's not that big, cool. But it could. So, overall, for what, 20, you can get it for $22. I paid $24 for it. On Amazon, you can get free shipping, whatever. So, pretty awesome. Definitely recommend it over the Defender. Definitely get the Commuter if you're going to get it. So, like I said, they make these for... they just released one for some of the Dell phones, like the Windows Phone 7 devices. And they're actually starting to release these for tablets. And I know Ron Knight's the guy that stops by our chat room sometimes. He's a really big fan of these. And him, along with Thomas and a couple other guys that... review these things, kind of sold me on it, and
Good
so far
stuff.
I've been happy with it. So that's pretty awesome. All right, Jeff. So I only put one news story in here because we've talked a lot about the Google patent issues, and we talked about how Samsung suing Google Samsung suing Apple, and Apple suing Samsung because obviously they think that they infringed on some of their patents with their hardware, and then HTC was getting sued by Apple. Like all these Android handset makers are getting sued by Apple, and Apple hasn't actually gone to the source. Like we haven't seen a suit in between Apple and Google, which I think that's something that they don't want to attack. Like it's much easier to say, hey, we're calling you out, Samsung. That was cool. Anyhow, today Google made a pretty big move that nobody was really expecting. Remember a couple... Yeah, I know.
That's what happened.
It's like, slap in the face, everybody! But a couple... I guess it was about a month ago, Google was in the running for the Nortel patents because Nortel was acquired by, I think it was Attachmate or something like that. And they had a ton of patents regarding OS, like how an OS works, which obviously is very important for Android. And I think it was 1,000 some odd patents that they needed. And Google has always been... They've always taken... They've always taken the route of saying, we don't need patents, we'll just develop. Well, now it's coming back to bite them because, Apple's suing everybody. So, and I think we know how we stand on this issue. It'd be much easier if nobody sued each other and they just out-developed. Like, I would just like to see Apple make the iPhone 5 3 times better than this phone so there wasn't any, whatever. Today, Google acquired Motorola for $12.5 billion. With a B. So, a lot of people were back, Google just had their, was that their third or second quarter earnings call? Whatever. And they announced, they had a ton of money in the bank, and everybody's like, well, what is Google going to do? I mean, they haven't made too many big acquisitions, and remember, they're actually going through kind of courting Groupon a little bit there for a while, and then they turned them down, or Groupon turned them down.
Well, what I really like about this is Motorola had the Zoom, I guess they had the Zoom. Now they're acquired by Google.
Yeah.
So now Google has the Zoom. What I really like is that I have a feeling that Google's going to try to get more into that tablet industry by themselves.
Okay, so you're...
And they're going to probably redesign the Zoom to work a lot better than what it was.
Yeah. And
put their little spin on it, and we're going to have like a Google tablet.
Now, this has been one of the things always that's plagued Google is they don't really have, I don't think they, before this, I mean, when we're speculating here, they haven't really wanted to do or had the manpower to make their own devices. They've always...
Well, yeah, they're all about software. That's what they are.
But, I mean, if they've got Motorola under the belt now, we may just see a Google-branded phone. It might not be the Droid X by Motorola that runs Android, which is, Google-based, but could just be the Google, I think this opens doors, especially for things like the dev phones that we see, like right now the Nexus S is the current Google dev phone, and it's made by Samsung, and they have to outsource all this, and technically they still will outsource it to Motorola, but at the same time, it's run by Google.
And also, you still got to remember, like, it's always fun to like really step back and look at stuff like somebody that doesn't even know what's going on.
Yeah.
Google started as a search engine.
Yeah.
That was it. They were, hey, let's go to Google and find something.
And the funny thing is,
now they're like taking over,
yeah,
majority of the market now.
But the funny thing is, like, I got 2 of these last month. I got one this month because we're AdSense publishers or whatever. I get like these $100 AdWorks, which is, gives you credit to get on Google's page. Like, for instance, if somebody searches tech, we could buy an ad for a certain sum of money on the Google homepage that, gets a bunch of hits or whatever. They still make their money that way. I mean, that's their core income. I mean, they're not making money off Android.
Well, you got to think about it. AdSense, there's like millions and millions and millions of searches like all the time.
YouTube right now, the second leading video ad provider behind Hulu, which, there was talks of them acquiring Hulu a while back. So they're obviously doing very well. And having such success in AdSense and, whatever, allows them to make acquisitions like this and give away Android for free.
Now, I don't see Google like completely redoing Motorola's structure. I just see them kind of taking over them. But I do see them starting maybe in like a little branch of Google-inspired things.
Yeah.
They'll have more... Which kind of stinks because Motorola is that much more difficult to actually root on stuff.
Well, do you think since Google... I mean, this is my hope. We've always dogged Motorola things for Android.
Well, see, the way I personally see it is Google's not going to be in there to really like...
Okay.
They don't have the do-how or whatever you want to call it, know-how to... Or I'm not going to say they don't have the know-how. They don't have the forward motion to go in there and start like redesigning circuitry and stuff. Like they're not going to get Motorola to change the way that they implement their hardware.
Yeah.
I don't think. They might change different aspects of it to say, okay, we need to step up our game here and do this and that.
Now, this is kind of funny. I was reading this story, and I was actually going to put this in the rundown for Gadget Gurus today because I knew we needed one story, and we usually like to focus on Android or, mobile devices. There was a story this weekend that claimed, or it was kind of more of a column, just opinion-based thing, and they were saying that Motorola could have been the biggest threat to Google and Android right now. And then the next day it gets acquired, and that was because they were thinking about actually suing other like HTC and stuff. Like there was a chance that they could do that. But if you look at that screenshot Jeb's got up there, this acquisition gives Google 17,000 patents, 3 times more than Nortel's, and 7,500 pending. Which that could be current projects, future project, or not obviously not current, but future projects. And the thing I like to see is that Motorola was one of the leading devs, or, not devs, but hardware manufacturers for some of the first Android phones. Besides the G1, they had the first, like, Droid, which was, one of the most powerful Android phones to come out, before or after the G1. So, overall, I mean, it's a pretty sweet acquisition. Like, of any of the handset makers who are making Android phones right now, Motorola has the most history. They obviously have the most patents. I mean, I think that
Well, see, they do a lot of other stuff. They just don't do handsets.
And you mentioned this, and this is something that we're focused on.
Bluetooth, they do, tons of stuff, like communication stuff, modems. I mean, they do tons of different, like, little nooks and things, and so... Yeah, probably. UAL says that he thinks that they're probably the first ones to create a processor.
Yeah, and you still see a lot of, like, they're partnered in with Texas Instruments, and they actually hand in hand develop with Texas Instruments a bunch of the processors that are not only put in the Motorola phones, but I mean you see them in tablets now, like all kinds of different devices.
They got a really good base of electronics already established, and I see. This is the way I see it. I don't see the Motorola line really being affected too much. Maybe redesigned just a little bit to, maybe Google's liking. I don't think they're going to push them that hard. Okay. I think they're just acquiring them just to own them.
And that makes sense because we've never seen Google push anything too hard. It's either phased out, like...
Yeah, they either just shut it all the way down,
or
they just kind of like let it ride.
And you just get it's pretty much like if it's a startup or something, which I know this is a lot bigger than a startup, they'll just be like, okay, here's your office space. Now you work for Google. Yeah.
And so like I see like I really and truly see Google trying to like push their own like little line out that's integrated into Motorola. Like, you know, it's going to be a lot more Google branded stuff, and
yeah,
you know, they'll be able to make more devices and pull different chips together that, you know, Motorola might not have.
What I like as well, I think this is going to spur maybe more Android development, not only development, but from the core Android platform. So, possibly having a known good, I don't know, like source of hardware manufacturers that they can actually, you know, work together with. I think that'll help some of the Android compatibility, which, you know, has been ironed out since the first versions of Android. But don't you think, like, maybe if they have processors that they could test these on, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, and I think you're right in saying that it's going to be less involved than most think. Like, it's just going to be like, oh, look, you know, it's probably still going to be Motorola, but it's just going to be like, yeah, we own Motorola.
Yeah.
But the 17,000 patents...
They basically want direct access to someone that has hardware capabilities, is what they're wanting.
And the thing is, this is a very focused acquisition because it's all about mobile. I mean, of course, you said that Motorola...
they have other things.
But they're most notably mobile. And I'm definitely going to say most of these patents have to do with mobile, which is exactly what Google needed. Especially, you know, defending against
pretty much most of their stuff has to do with mobile. I mean, minus some of the, like, intercom stuff they do. I mean, the modems, you know, they do modems. I think that modem actually over there is a Motorola modem.
It is.
You know, high-speed modems and stuff like that, which is really cool because, you know, Google's, you know, all about the internet and everything, and they're going to be pushing their high-speed gigabit. And, hey, guess what? Their high-speed gigabit stuff will probably come out on Motorola stuff, you know?
Yeah.
You know, when it comes to the consumer market, you'll probably see a Motorola modem that actually does the gigabit, internet.
Yeah, maybe that'd be cool.
Because now they have that marriage of hardware to software.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Yeah,
they don't. Before, the way it is Google says, "Here's our operating system," and then the manufacturer says, "Well, I'm going to tweak it here, tweak it there." And, you know, Google has their terms and restrictions that you can only do it this and this. You can't mess with that part. And then the manufacturer goes, okay, well, I'm going to do this, and this, and I'm going to implement my device however I feel like. Google really doesn't really have too much say on how they implement their hardware.
Well,
so now Google has full 100% control on what Motorola does with their hardware, and I think you're going to see a little bit of change in that.
Yeah, and it probably will change some of the landscape of maybe what HTC and Samsung are doing because...
Now they're going to have to keep up with different people. And
it seems like when you think about it that way, it seems kind of weird that one of HTC and Samsung's biggest competitors is now owned by the same company who gives them the software to run on it. Yeah. But at the same time, I don't know, like that's a weird... I just thought of that, and that's kind of a weird...
Well, I mean, it's almost just like Microsoft having Windows, and then you have like they acquire some other like hardware place, which they do hardware now. So it's like
And I think the big key here is Android is still giving away for free to every right now. If we wanted to start like the PB phone or something, we could go to Google and say, hey, can we have the source? We're starting a new phone, and they'll grant us access to the latest source build or whatever.
Which you can actually sign up as a developer, and you get the SDKs already.
So
I have full access to all the SDKs. So, I mean, that's what's cool about it is that you can do that and just develop your own, and just as long as you stay with their terms and conditions and don't you got to credit them where credit's due and all that junk.
Yep. So the Next Web did a very good job of kind of highlighting Motorola's history. And I thought we'd read some of these. It's 15 things that you may not know about Motorola. These will be available at pbcasttv.com for, in the show notes or whatever. It was founded in 1928 as Galvin Manufacturing Corporation. Motorola's first product ever was the battery eliminator. That sounds kind of interesting, which, of course, was not mobile. And just looking at that date there, spanning back to 1928, that means that they have patents on a ton of stuff. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't just, the StarTech or what. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, in 1930, They introduced one of the first car radios. You know, that's having to do with radios and everything. You know, all that stuff. In 1940, Motorola created the very first walkie-talkie. So I mean, these are some pretty big.
They got a lot. I mean, I got those 2 Motorola walkie-talkies. I mean, they got a lot of stuff in the communication industry.
I'm looking here in 1956. Motorola was once again led the industry by developing the first ever pager. So I mean, these are big things that they've actually, you know, been the first ones to implement this. Neil Armstrong's famous words when he became the first man to land on the moon in 1969, one small step for man and one giant leap for mankind, were spoken on a Motorola radio. In 1973, the world's first cellular phone was developed by Motorola, and there's a picture.
Yep.
Is that a picture right there, Evan? Yeah. And there you go. What was that?
Dynatech.
Who was that? UAL or in the chat room or whatever mentioned that. In 1984, Motorola introduced the world's first true 32-bit microprocessor, 3/8 of an inch square chip containing 200,000 transistors. In 1996, Motorola introduced the lightest phone on the market, the Motorola StarTAC. Until 1998, Motorola was the world's biggest seller of mobile phones when Nokia knocked them out, and they're still one of the biggest. 1999, Motorola once again led the forefront of industry, introducing the world's first smartphone with web browsing and email capabilities.
Because Motorola was doing all the Nextel stuff and everything, so...
and until the introduction of the iPhone, the Motorola Razr was the best-selling phone in the U.S. market. To this day, it's the best-selling clamshell phone of all time. And my dad still rocks his Motorola Razr. I mean, it runs an embedded version of Linux. What was that? 130 million?
130 million units.
That's
so
crazy.
That's a lot of...
and then 15 is
units.
Motorola's venture into the world of Android proved to be the best thing that the company could have done. Because, I mean, if you watch their stock, it's obviously on a down slope. They hadn't developed since the Razr. I mean, the Razr was a slick device. Like, that was the best. Like, you looked at that, there was no phone that compared to that, like, clamshell device or whatever.
Yeah.
And them jumping into Android really saved the company, honestly. So, there you go. I mean, Motorola is a history-rich company, and they have tons of patents. I mean, this is exactly what Google needed to, you know, strengthen their patent lineup, defend themselves, as well as, you know, be able to innovate freely. So, that's pretty awesome. So, I don't know. I mean, do you see any cons to this, really? I mean, I don't know. I was trying to think of some before the show, and obviously, owning a direct competitor to some of your leading hardware manufacturers isn't the best, but whatever. Oh, is this today's stock share here?
Yeah, I was looking for
Motorola.
Oh, MOT.
Why wouldn't it come up on Google Finance?
But I was just curious to see what their stocks did when they announced that.
Hey, I don't know. Let's see here. It was up 1.45% today, up to $40.58 a share, and let's see. The low for the day was. It opened at 40.
Yeah, there you go. MS. It's NYSE MSI, Motorola Solutions Incorporated.
Sweet.
No, they got Motorola Mobility. Yeah, it's MMI. They didn't get MSI. They got MMI. They got just the mobility part of it.
Oh, there you go. So it's up 55%.
Yeah, it jumped 55% today. So, you know, up like 13 points. So that's pretty good.
That's the graph you want to see if you're a stock owner right there.
Yeah. It jumped from, what is this? Like $25 a share to like 38.
That's crazy.
In like the announcement of it, like today, which is funny.
That's awesome. All right, so I'm hoping big things to come. I mean, being an Android fan, hopefully we'll have some pretty awesome news coming out of that. I don't know.
But that is a good thing of looking. They didn't buy. See, I was thinking they bought all of Motorola.
No, they didn't buy all of Motorola.
They bought the mobility part of Motorola, the mobility division. They didn't buy all of it, so they might not have, all that other stuff. But they do have it at hand.
Yeah.
Probably, I would think. If you bought somebody's division of their company, I think they would probably be more lenient to.
Like, oh, okay.
Oh yeah, you just gave us $12.5 billion.
And like you said, if they're still kind of working as a Motorola employee, but they're not called like a Google, they're a Google employee, they're probably still going to be pretty close. So, I don't know. But the mobile aspect is pretty key because that's where Google, plays and stuff. So, interesting acquisition. They did pay for it, obviously, but at the same time, Google has plenty of the funds to do that. So,
yeah.
There you go. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Gadget Gurus. As always, you can follow Jacob on Twitter, twitter.com/freakinghuge, FREAKINHUGE, and JetRoberts.me. You can follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/batnickjones and nickjones.me. As well as make sure to subscribe to our newsletter, pbcasttv.com/newsletter. It goes out every Monday morning, informs you on the week ahead. One more announcement, no Tech Weekly this week. Jeb's going to be at one of his friends' weddings, but we will be coming back for Maker Faire, which is on September 10th. I mean, obviously, we'll have shows in between then.
You know what we didn't do?
What did we not do? I said Monday because I have to go to school tomorrow, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I guess that does it for this episode, so until next time, I'm Nick Jones.
I'm Jacob Roberts.
Another episode of Gadget Gurus.
See you guys.